I'm obviously, tonight, the one thing I can say is that you saw a lot of fight out of our team, and I think that was evident just especially in that last quarter. Outscoring St. Joe's in that quarter just showed some of the things we're capable of doing. Obviously disappointed not getting the win, but I also think one thing I talked to the team about directly afterwards, we saw a lot of fight. But then when we start tying that in with some of the strategy, I think with some of our young and some inexperienced kids that are on the floor, I think you're going to see this continue to grow. But I think it was a great game for us to learn a lot from. I think we always say lessons learned. I think we're going to learn a lot from this, but also I'm really proud of the work and the fight we put in tonight against a very good, inexperienced team with St. Joe's.
Amy, St. Joe's mostly the same team from last year with Chloe Welch coming in. How much more dangerous does that make them offensively when you have her to worry about? Because it kind of seems like, and Mel mentioned this earlier, like they can kind of just pick and choose. They get different production from different players on different nights. How much more difficult when they've added a Chloe Welch does that make them to defend?
It makes them really difficult to defend when you have five, especially in the starting group for them, that can all get double digits in a night. I think that just shows the efficiency they can play with. And when you play teams with that type of efficiency, you have to be, first of all, we always said you can't take a possession off, and I think that's really important. And you have to be really on point with what you're doing on the offensive end. So I felt like, that definitely helps them as far as their overall, like what they have. They obviously don't play a big bench, but the ones they do have on the floor are pretty efficient and really hard. They do spread you out on the floor, so you have to be really on point with what you're doing defensively. And if it's like you said, if it's not one person, it's the other one stepping up and scoring for them, which makes it obviously a little more difficult as well.
You mentioned about the fight with your team. That was obviously a positive. I thought another positive was Brooke Mullen. Career high, 17 points, and she really was looking for her shot, was a little more under control, and it's a new role for her. But how much does that, work going forward for her in her new role as kind of like a leading scorer for your team?
I think you just said it. We talked about her responsibilities with this team this year, and they have definitely multiplied from her, past years. So for me to see that, and we talk about things that, are on this like stat list, that's something you want to see, because I think that's something she's capable of doing. It's something we've talked about, her being a playmaker for us, but doesn't have to make plays, but she makes plays just by being on the floor, because she can do, those little things out on the floor. So I was really excited to see her, and I've seen that in the preseason, but this has been the first game you've really seen that type of production for her on the floor.
Coach, could you talk a little bit about Amaris Baker, what she brings to it? 37 minutes, she really provides you with a lot of different things.
Yeah, Amaris is, one of the players this year. She's new on the floor for us, but very excited about what she brings. She obviously, just from the defensive end, I love what she does, her intensity, her, she is, like, every day she shows up, she's working hard. And I think what she also does is you're seeing, she rebounds the ball, but she can score the basket a couple ways, 3 ways, as far as getting to the hoop. Just really strong. So I'm really excited. Like, I continue to see it. We said this before, this team, there's so many new faces on the floor that don't have the type of experience, and they are starting to connect, and I said today, that's been the biggest thing. I think we had a lot of fight, and once that fight connects with strategy, with what we're doing, and they really get on board with those things, I think you're going to see this team just continue to, kind of chip away at some of the teams we're playing and get better. Because I think today we played a very tough team in St. Joe's. I think we knew exactly what we were going into. And, we got to a few possessions, but those are the things we were talking about. We've got to get to a point where we're taking care of possessions that are going to keep us in the game.
The backstory, Baker a little bit, because there's always been O'Hara kids coming here, but you never really hear about Harcum kids ever moving over. So kind of who found who, how did you guys all connect?
Well, I think with Amaris Baker, obviously O'Hara, and that's a name that we know very well here in our program. We've had obviously so many players come through, but Amaris was someone we did look at, when she was at O'Hara. It wasn't someone that we obviously had a great need for at the time. And one thing that I love about her story, and everyone says, is she obviously was in 2 different places at Harcum, that the growth she had from those two places she's been really put her in position to be where she is now. So I feel like, we were pretty lucky because I did get to see her. I heard about her being back in town. I guess that's where you gotta love social media. Saw on social media she was at Harcum and she was dropping points and really doing that. So once I saw that, I'm like, hey, you know what? I gotta check this kid out again, because 2 years, out of high school and getting the different experiences, I think really you see the growth. And the one thing I love about Amaris Baker, she wants to be at Drexel, and she said to me, she's like, you know what? She's never going to take any opportunity for granted, and I think she's going to make the most of this next 2 years. And so she's in the gym every day. I just know she's going to continue to grow and really be a special player for us.
Lane McGurk, 3 straight games with her for her with double figures. Are you a little surprised by how she didn't play the first game, then immediately has given you that scoring boost, and has she sort of earned herself a permanent spot in the rotation moving forward?
Yes, I think Lane. She's someone coming out of high school. You knew she could score the ball. Just based on obviously her stats and production, but she does that every day of practice. So a lot of things you're seeing her do does not surprise me from an offensive end. I think what we talked about is her continue to grow in what we do. We talked about strategy and how we play, whether it's on the defensive end, within the offense, and she's working. She's the type of kid, I've seen the growth from the second she stepped on campus till now. I think you're going to continue to see that, and just based on what she's able to do on her time on the floor, I think she's going to continue to earn that time, and be on the floor for us.
Is it I know the defense is something that you've wanted her to work on. Is it one of those things, though, with the way your team offensively that kind of is going to outweigh you let her struggle through the defense because this team needs some help scoring buckets?
I think it's one of those things where you have to pick and choose, and I think she's continuing to grow in that area, and I think it is. It's one of the things you learn in non-conference, you learn a lot about your team, and I think each game we're learning that, and that's one of the things you're learning about Lane. It's she obviously is coming in, and she really has been a spark for us offensively, and when you have a player that can do that off the bench, that's something you have to take into account as you start doing your rotations, and she's definitely proven, if not in the last 3 games, that she's capable of doing that. So I can't see why she wouldn't continue doing that and why we wouldn't want her on the floor.
Yeah, Coach, you just mentioned about how you're seeing Lane McGurk's development over the game and over the game so far this year. You have Norfolk State, tough one here at home, 2 dominant wins, and you had a really good test against a very good St. Joseph's team. How much does this help going forward for the rest of your non-conference schedule and then going into conference play?
I think it's crucial for us. I think we have to, take this and say, hey, we can't be happy that we lost today. Obviously, that's very, very disappointing. But we have to take with the fact that we fought and we put ourselves in position with the things we're doing. We went from having 8 turnovers in the first half to 3 in the second. That was taking care of what we need to. So those are the little things that we'll continue to take. But I think these are, like you said, the 2 tough games that we lost were against very tough opponents that I think you're going to see do extremely well throughout the year in conference. And so I'm just hoping non-conference for us is a continued build for preparing us for what we're going to see in the CAA this year.